Hello mga kababayan, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Laruan ni Obi-Wan. Designed by Tamashii Nations in Japan and marketed by Bandai, we have the Gundam HeavyArms or XXG-01H. So let's examine the contents of our purchase. So we have the figure of the Gundam HeavyArms. We have the Gatling cannon or the beam Gatling with the shield attached to it. We have an accessory for a base, which the base is not included. It is a separate purchase, and Bandai was kind enough to include an alternate set of hands with the figure if you wish to change the set of hands that are attached to it currently. But I guess that won't be needed because once you attach this cannon to that forearm, you need to take away that fist and socket this cannon into that forearm. And as for weapon wielding capacity to the right arm, that is not needed because a fist will do because he has a knife on the side. So let's assemble the figure. For my fellow collectors who really are into the Gundam Tamashii Nations line or the Gundam Universe line by Tamashii Nations, but is just interested in one specific figure of the Gundam HeavyArms in relation to a 7-inch McFarlane Geralt of Rivia figure. This is the scale. So this is a 7-inch action figure. And that is a 6-inch action figure. So as for scaling, this is not your 1:144 scale model kit size. This is a 6-inch action figure. Let's do a quick 360 view of the figure. And let's take a look next at the main weapon, the beam Gatling. So let's take a closer look at the beam Gatling or the main armament of the HeavyArms. The very distinctive weapon that makes us really love this action figure. So this is a really big piece of gun for the unit. So let's put the unit back into frame, and as you could see, it's almost as tall as the figure. There are components to this weapon system. So the shield is a separate piece. You could actually detach it from the main body of the beam Gatling. We also have a stabilizing bar or handle which the figure could hold on to, and it seems that the barrel is attached to the main body because as you could see the flex, but we don't have any rotation on this beam Gatling. It is a fixed barrel onto the frame of this specific weapon system. So don't expect that just like the 1:44 scale, the barrels would move. This one is fixed. Now as for articulation, if you are familiar with the Tamashii Nations Gundam Universe action figures, you know that the most problematic area for this action figure would be the waistline or the ab crunch, because technically there is almost zero flex or give to the articulation point on this area. So just like the other action figures that came before this unit, as you could see, there is little to none articulation at all. Even we have a cut on the waist, we just can't rotate that waistline. But as for the rest of the articulation points on this figure, we have good or ample articulation on the head. Just be careful with the antennas on this figure because they are a separate piece. So this thing could detach if you press on, or it could possibly break on the side. And so the head moves up and down nicely, so we have enough articulation on the head. The shoulders could rotate and move sidewards, and we have bicep articulation. And we have all the basic articulation points for a Gundam Tamashii Nations or Gundam Universe action figure. So let's move on to the details, which this figure really shines with. Okay, so for the head, so that is the close-up look of the head sculpt. So really reminiscent of the HeavyArms that we know in the series. So we have the main camera, and as for the head armaments, we have the Vulcan guns, so one per side. And for the clavicle area, we have the machine cannons. For the shoulder armor, we have the honing missiles, so 3 per shoulder. So let's put that back. So let's open this side up. So 6 in total for the shoulders. For the chest, we have the chest gatlings, 2 chest gatlings. We have the detailed sculpt for the cockpit of the pilot Trowa Barton, and we have the micro missiles, so 12 per side. So the only thing that really is lacking in this figure, well, something that is just an easy fix and actually something that would be fun to do later, would be to apply really black paint on those panel lines on the figure. Because if you take a look at the card art on the front of the backs of the figure, you could see that we have really black panel lines on the rest of the body. But with the figure per se, when you take it out of box, the panel lines are not painted. So you just have to purchase a separate Gundam marker and make this a project action figure. And once you're done with panel lining, then it's going to be a real looker on your display shelf. Just really love the color combination of white and red on this figure. As a last line of defense, we have the battle blade. So this is the length of the battle blade once it is stored on the forearm of the figure. So once it is extended, so that is the reach of the blade in relation to the hands or the fist of the figure. As for the curvature of the blade, I don't know if it is based on the original anime series. Is the blade curved like this, or is it more something like a Jim Bowie style blade wherein it is more straight compared to this model kit? So the model kit would sport a more Jim Bowie like blade, but for its larger counterpart, the action figure counterpart, the blade is curved. Okay, so let's move on to weapon storage system and propulsion system for this Gundam unit. So the backpack is the propulsion system. So we have two thrusters over here, and we have the connection points for the beam Gatling. So this weapon could be stored either on the left side or on the right side, but it's going to be quite problematic if you're going to store this weapon system on the right side of the action figure, because we have the blade over here. So as I would demonstrate, so well, it attaches well, but you have to move the blade out from this side. Well, anyway, you're going much or majority of the time spent of this action figure on your display, you're going to have that beam Gatling on the left side or the left forearm of the figure. So let's do it right now. To attach this really huge weapon system to the mobile suit, just snap off the handset or the left fist that is attached to that forearm, and take your weapon system. So we have the female end and we have the male end, and just take hold of the forearm and snap it in place. Okay, so actually I already glued the shield to the main body of this weapon system, and I also glued this propulsion system to the back of the mobile suit, so they won't be detaching any further when I play or display this in my collection stand. So as you could see, with proportions, that is really a huge weapon system. So it is really the proportions are really kind of out of whack, but that is the thing that we really love with the heavy arms. In relation to how big is the weapon system on the standard model kit, the 1:44 scale. So as you could see, this heavy arms could even just hang that or simply limp wrist that weapon system, and it won't touch the ground. But with this, that is not possible, because if he straightens out the arm, you have about half or about 0.25 inches from the foot, or the clearance of the sole of the foot. So you have to angle the forearm this way and let the barrel rest on the surface that way. So when you attach this also to the forearm, it's really going to be heavy. So I've noticed that it would hold on to the post, but there is a tendency for the total weight of the figure to really be on the left side. I could already see the attachment point or the connection point on this side really just going towards the left side because of the weight of this plastic material that is attached to the arm of this action figure. But overall effect, if it has achieved the itch or yearning we have for a heavy arms Gundam unit as an action figure, I guess this hit really that sweet spot that you want. So if you don't want to make a model kit, to purchase the model kit that is readily accessible at your Walmart or your Target, then you have this option. So the plastic is more robust. Playability, well, we just don't have any posing or articulation point on the waist, but that is just something that is really not much of a bother, because we have more articulation points on the rest of the figure. But if it's really your thing, then just take it apart and mold that waistline. So we already are done with the talking points for this review, so let's go to the photos and the video shots.